Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Kailin and I post videos every single week, and I mainly post about eating disorder recovery and intuitive eating. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would love for you to click onto that subscribe button and become part of our little family. But today's video is one that is very close to my heart, and we are going to be talking about how to let go of clothing, or how to even navigate clothing when we outgrow them, when we gain weight. I know that it can bring up a lot of different kinds of emotions because of how weight gain is seen within our society in general. And so I'm hoping that some of these tips can help you navigate this a little bit more safely and feel just a little bit more comfortable just letting go of clothes that do not serve you anymore. So for most people, and my past self included, growing out of clothes and trying on clothes that are in your wardrobe or in your drawers that no longer fit can be a very difficult experience, especially when we equate our body with our worth, or when we look at weight gain through a very demonized lens. And it's not our fault that a lot of people do this. When we look at how weight gain is seen in the media, it's always demonized, of how we have to lose the freshman 15, on how we have to be careful in the new year and try to put off the weight that we had gained in the past year. It's very demonized. And so first things first, it's not your fault or my past self's fault for thinking that way. The goal of this video is really to normalize this process in our life of getting rid of clothes, of outgrowing them. And in this video, we're going to be talking about ways that we can make the process a little bit more enjoyable, how we can hit some road bumps along the way, and also about having to revamp your wardrobe, or getting rid of clothes, or even buying new clothes can be an opportunity to grow and really learn about yourself. There are usually two stepping stones when it comes to letting go of clothing, especially clothing that no longer fits. And the first one is mentally letting go, and the second one is physically letting go of them. So let's first talk about this mental aspect. I think that we've all been in this position before, where it's very tempting to hold on to clothes that no longer fit because there's this thought in that beautiful mind of yours that maybe they'll fit again soon, or maybe we'll lose the weight and we can have these clothes again. Let's talk about why we shouldn't do this. First things first, those clothes can be taking up space in your wardrobe that you could use to store new clothes and clothes that would make you feel great. And the second one, and the one that I think is most important, is that every time you open your wardrobe or your drawers or whatever it might be, and you see the clothing that doesn't fit, and you kind of go down this rabbit hole of, I still haven't lost the weight, or maybe I'll lose the weight, or whatever it might be, you're constantly putting shame on yourself, and you're constantly inducing these feelings of guilt just by visually seeing these clothes in your closet and knowing that you can't wear them even if you wanted to. And that cycle of shame is one that's going to put us down a very deep, dark rabbit hole, especially when it comes to body image and using our body as a form of value or worth. So some questions that we can ask ourselves when we hit this roadblock and when we're really working on mentally letting go are the following. The first question: when you see these items in your closet, do they make you happy? Or do they put you in a mindset where you need to lose weight, or in a shameful mindset, or in a guilty mindset? Really ask yourself how these clothes make you feel, not how you used to feel in them, but how you feel about them right now in this moment. Question number 2, would you have more fun putting together an outfit in the morning and getting ready if you knew that everything in your closet fit? That if you could just grab something and knowing that it would fit, instead of going through this cycle of, trying to put it on and then feeling shame again when it does not fit you. And question number 3, could your clothes better serve someone else? Think of how much you might have enjoyed those clothes, and perhaps they can get a second wind or a second life with somebody else, whether that's through donation, whatever it might be. So we just spoke about mentally letting them go. Now let's talk about physically letting them go. When we get rid of clothes that no longer fit us, one, it feels great to clean out that space and to, again, not see those clothes all the time. I know it might be a hard process, but I promise you, when they're done, when they're gone, you're going to feel relieved. And it can also be an opportunity to try out new styles. My style has changed throughout the years, and part of the reason for that is because I've outgrown clothes for whatever the reason might be, and I've been able to think of what this Kailin in this moment, what she wants to dress like. And that can change depending on the day, depending on the year, but sometimes just giving yourself that opportunity can be a very exciting time. We want to look at this as an opportunity to have fun, to be creative, and to maybe do something different with your wardrobe. So when it comes to finding a home for your new clothes, there are so many things that we can do. You can do a clothing swap as well. So if you and your friends, or sometimes they do it within communities as well, you can all get together with clothes that no longer serve you, no longer fit you, and you might find a new piece that you love from their wardrobe, and they might find a new piece that they love from yours. As I mentioned, there's always donations like Salvation Army, and you can even look on their website for donation bins around you. One of my favorite things when I was growing up were hand-me-downs, especially from like people who were older than me, not so much my cousins because we weren't blood related, but we had that kind of relationship. And anytime we got that bag of clothes, my sister and I would have like a full-on fashion show, and it made our day. So if you maybe have a younger sibling, a younger cousin, a younger person in your life, or just somebody else, they don't have to be younger. Anyway, giving them that bag of clothes might really make their day, just like it made mine when I was a little girl. And if you are somebody who is a lot more artsy or has the time on your hand to learn about sewing and learn about crafting, then you can actually use the fabric from your clothes to potentially make different clothes, to cut them up and make bandanas. I've done that with old t-shirts that kind of don't fit or don't fit in the way that I like. I cut them down and I use them just to tie my hair back, whether it's when I'm doing like a face mask. There's some clothing too that I always use as like my painting shirt or something like that. So if it has holes or things like that, you can use it as a pajama shirt. We can try to repurpose, but if you are somebody who's very crafty, maybe you can repurpose some of the fabric for like a future project of some kind. And of course, there's also Depop and Poshmark, where you can sell your clothes and hopefully make some money back to purchase some new ones if that's something that you would like to do. Another tip that I would recommend, and this is probably one of the biggest tips if you are somebody who really struggles with letting go of clothes, is to call in some backup. Call in some backup. It could be really great to have this kind of support, especially if you're going through recovery, body changes, if you're really struggling with body image distress or really anything like that. Maybe a parent or a friend or a family member or anybody can really come in and support you through this process and help you go through your clothes as well, to make sure that we're not hesitating to hold on to some, and hope that they're going to fit. Throughout this process, the most important thing and the most important reminder is to be kind to yourself. And I know it's not going to come naturally or easily, but when you catch yourself in a shameful thought, try your best to reframe it. Let me give you an example. If I'm trying on a dress and it no longer fits, and then I say, oh my God, I can't believe I've grown out of this dress, I'm a failure, I gained weight and it's disgusting, yada yada yada. We want to stop ourselves and we want to try to replace that with something more positive, even if you don't believe it in the moment. I don't expect you always to believe it, but we have to have something to fight against thoughts like that. And so if we're saying something like, I don't want my body to be the source of my worth, I'm allowed to outgrow clothing, I'm meant to find clothing that fits me, not the other way around, etc. Remind yourself that you are allowed to take up space. You're allowed to take up emotional space throughout the process, but you're also allowed to take up physical space and go up in a size. There's no shame in that. We're not meant to have the same body forever. That's extremely unrealistic. One of the road bumps that I kind of want to talk about in this video, and one that I think is it's so important to mention, is when it comes to ethically buying clothes. And I'm just kind of segmenting it. I don't even think that's a word. I'm putting it in this video because I think that it would be tone deaf of me to not speak of it to a certain degree. Because when we're talking about buying new clothes, it can be costly, especially with the pressure to buy ethically and not buy from fast fashion, etc. And even though fast fashion, yes, it's bad for the environment, they need to pay their workers more. There's a lot that we can go over when it comes to like the malpractices of fast fashion and the effects that it has on our world as a whole. And there's a lot of discourse when it comes to people buying new clothes, that they should not buy fast fashion. There's this pressure to buy local, to buy indie or craft brands. But let's actually think about this for a quick second. When we're thinking of the world's leading trendiest stores, or retailers I should say, things like H&M, Garage, Forever 21, Zara, the stores that just tend to have more affordable clothes that is not seen exactly as fast fashion compared to things like Zaful, I think that's what it is, or Shein, etc. People aren't really frowned upon as much when they're buying from these stores. But a lot of these stores only recently started going up to a size 16. Before they didn't even go up to a size 16. And the idea that these stores like H&M, Forever 21, etc., the idea of them even carrying plus sizes and some of them actually having plus size sections themselves is a recent phenomena. That is a recent thing. And most of the time, the plus size fashion within those stores is not trendy like the rest of the store. You'll have big floral prints or shirts with just random sayings on it instead of cute crop tops or cute patterned pants. A lot of them just seem to not care about the fashion sense when it comes to plus size fashion in general. Almost all of the sustainable clothing brands that I've seen only go up to like around a size 12 because they're new and it costs a lot of money to extend their sizing, which I'm gonna call out bullshit when I smell bullshit. And if you can't cater to everyone, then you're not ready to start your business. That's just my opinion. I'm sure that I'm gonna get negative comments from saying that, but do you. So with this in mind, as a plus size person, it's really hard to find something trendy, something cute within these stores. And in other stores, and in a lot of the cases, they can't even find their own size within the store. So when we're talking about sustainable fashion, a lot of the time, usually thin white people bring up the idea of like, oh, well, maybe they can't shop there, but can't they go to thrift stores? And this begs so many questions. What if they can't find something that they like? What if they can't find their size? And a lot of the clothing within a thrift store is like 20, 30, 40, even 50 years old, where the trends that are sort of hopping right now, they're not present within those stores either. And so now we're talking about, you know, somebody who wants to dress with the trends, wants to dress fashionably, wants to dress with their style, whatever they might be, and they don't have access to clothes, whether it be at a thrift store or whether it be at all of these trendy retailers in general. And so when I see people shame people for buying fast fashion, it sits uncomfortably with me. And what I mean by that is particularly people who are in plus size bodies. People who are in thin bodies have thin privilege and can actually purchase clothes at the retailers that I've mentioned, at the thrift stores, whatever it might be. It's not hard to find a size that fits you. In fact, if you do have thin privilege, walking into a store, that's probably not something that you even worry about, whether or not they're going to have your size. And so I see a lot of people, especially on TikTok, just this whole discourse about how nobody should ever buy fast fashion. And I'm here to say that I think it's a lot more complex than that. If the only options you have as a plus size person are like plain t-shirts and flowered dresses, and you want something other than that, I don't think that that's wrong. Fat people want to be on trend too, and they are allowed to have an equal shopping experience. And if we're not able to get accessibility for people above a size 16, then I think that them shopping at stores like Zaful, like Shein online and able to get their size in the first place, and also able to not break the bank, they should not have to sacrifice their style or their wants to shop sustainably when that's not even an option for them depending on their size. Sustainable brands should carry all sizes, but unfortunately the reality is that like 99.9% of them don't, and that 0.01% of them that do are extremely expensive. And so if you're somebody who has low income, somebody who just can't afford to spend $300 on a t-shirt, I think shopping fast fashion is sometimes the only option, and I don't think that people should be shamed when they literally have no other option in this world. I really don't want to hear people criticizing people in fat bodies for buying fast fashion, again, when it's the only accessible thing that they have. If we're criticizing an influencer who makes bank, who is in a thin body for buying hundreds and hundreds of dollars of Shein, go off. I think that that is something that would be hugely problematic, especially when they don't need access to those clothes and they have access, again, to H&M, Forever 21, all of these other trendy spots that are still fast fashion, but nowhere on the same magnitude as Shein is. There's a quote here that I want to read to you, and it's by Marielle Elizabeth, who is a journalist. Plus size shoppers shouldn't be held to the same standards as straight size consumers when an actual wide-ranging variety of styles in size-inclusive fashion has only existed for a small fraction of time. I think that really solidifies my entire point in like one sentence, but hopefully that helps give us a little bit of a perspective. And again, I didn't want to just make this video when we're talking about discovering new trends when that might not be accessible to some people. And so I thought that this would be a very important segment to have. Be gentle. If sustainability is out of your reach right now because of sizing, it's out of your control. Let it go. One thing I also want to talk about when it comes to weight gain and letting go of certain clothing is the idea of fantasizing about yourself in a smaller body. Fantasizing that one day you're going to lose weight, fantasizing that one day these clothes will fit. A very counterproductive, unfortunately popular piece of advice when it comes to fashion bloggers, magazines, tabloids, and honestly sometimes from loved ones. I've witnessed people saying this like in the mall out loud, is to buy something in a smaller size to motivate yourself to lose weight. Can we just sit with that thought for a second and like see, really listen to how it sounds? Not only is this thought extremely fat phobic in the first place, but it doesn't work. Shaming yourself into trying to change your body is never going to work, and it's also never going to solve your body image problems, because body image is how you view your body. It's not what your body actually looks like. The only thing that we would actually accomplish in this situation if we buy something in a smaller size is buying something beautiful for yourself in the wrong size. A lot of the time we're trying to fight for a body that is not our own. Embrace yours. And I promise you life is going to get infinitely easier, infinitely better if we stop focusing on shrinking our body, especially for clothes. This kind of advice of buying something in a smaller size is just akin to a kind of punishment, and it just reiterates that your body is not enough as it is right now and that you need to change it. On this journey that you're going on, I want you to try your best to look at the positives. There's literally no reason under the sun of why you should punish yourself to try to fit into a wedding dress, to try to fit into literally any piece of clothing. It's just not worth the mental anguish that you're most likely going to put yourself in, and it can be a very slippery slope. One of the last things that I kind of want us to go over are just some affirmations that I've personally used myself, and affirmations that I think can help this process. And again, when it comes to saying things that are more neutral or more positive, as I said, I don't expect you to believe them all the time, but we've got to start somewhere. So if you've always been critical, and you've been critical for a very long time, being positive, being kind is not something that is going to come naturally at all. But repeat it over and over and over again, because we believe the things we repeat, and ultimately one day you're going to wake up and actually believe the affirmations that you're saying. So let's start and go over a couple to end this video. One affirmation that I used was, my body has permission to change. Your body is not going to be the same from when you were 17 to when you're 25 to when you're 45. Like, how is that possible? It's not. So why is that the expectation that we have? If you go into a store and you're not able to find your size, I want you to make sure that you're not blaming yourself. For example, I'm not to blame for the fact that this store doesn't have my size. I'm not to blame for the lack of inaccessibility. We always want to put that pressure and that blame on the store and not on our body. And another reminder is that you're giving new life to the clothes that you're letting go of. Somebody else will have a lot more use out of them compared to them just sitting in your closet or your drawer. I think the most important affirmation to repeat is that weight gain is not a bad thing. Repeat it over and over and over again, and I promise one day it's going to stick. And the last affirmation, and the one that makes my heart really happy, is that you deserve clothes that fit you. You deserve to take up space. You deserve comfort. You deserve joy. And those are two things that clothes that fit us comfortably can bring to us. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to feel comfort. You deserve to feel joy. You deserve clothes that fit. On that note, I hope that some of these tips are helpful for you. If you have any other tips that you would like to share with our community, please leave them in the comments down below, because you can probably help somebody more than you know. As always, make sure to do something kind for yourself, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye, friends.